So, welcome to the key lessons of the infinite way. Great that you're here. Everyone's welcome, whether you come late, whether you come early, that's great, wonderful. I'm happy that you're here. So, and it's still early for some of you, for some it's maybe a little bit late, and so it's all right. So, key lessons of the infinite way. Today, lesson 4, and that has everything to do with meditation. And so we're going to take a really good look at meditation. And we practice it all the time, but it is like, okay, it doesn't hurt to take a really good look and see what Joel is actually instructing or sharing with us regarding this, what you should not forget about, and also to keep yourself active in the meditation and not just drift off somewhere, but being aware of what is possible in the meditation and opening up for that and learning to let go of the rest. So this is all really good and great to hear again. And so that's why we do that. We have also a meditation that we're going to do now with words of Joel. And Joel, this is actually from last week's talk that we listened to. And so last week's talk, Developing Healing Consciousness, was the tape that we listened to. And so Developing Healing Consciousness had a lot of introduction into meditation. I said this last week too, I remember that even. So, but anyway, so now we use a specific part. Well, Joel says, okay, now this, don't forget this. And it's lovely. So let's take time to go within and actively keep our minds open for what is possible, our consciousness open for what is possible in the meditation, and see what happens.
And here's time again for practicing the presence of God, consciously remembering God sets the table in the wilderness. God is responsible for the crops in the ground, for the oil, for the metals, for the jewels, for the cattle on 1,000 hills. All of this God has brought forth into expression. So we go from task to task throughout the day, but regardless of what we are doing, whether it is housework inside, business work outside, there are occasions for us to remember that God's grace is with us wherever we are. Remember, if I mount up to heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art there. The voice is always saying, whithersoever thou goest, I will go. And so we're remembering, here where I am, in the midst of these labors, in the midst of my rest, in the midst of my work, where I am, God is. Where God is, I am. For we are one. The Father is within me. We are not in two separate places. The Father is within me. Closer to me than breathing. Here where I am, God is. The ground whereon I stand is holy ground. The place whereon I stand is holy ground. Why? Because the Father is here where I am.
Thank you so much for joining in the meditation with the words of Joel and some quiet to actively use as Joel instructs. So we're going to take a look at what is Joel actually instructing. But first of all, when you have listened to the tape, you know what I'm talking about. And that is, in the beginning of the tape, Joel is actually expressing the incredibleness of the event that they are meeting. Like he's in San Diego, and so-called by accident, and he's being asked to talk here, to come to this place and to teach. And he says, well, all this is not an accident at all. So it's like there's a perfect plan behind all of this. And so the fact that you are here, and this is the same for you, it's like Joel says, this is a total miracle. That you are here, that's a miracle. That is a miracle. So he uses the word miracle like 5 times, and of course I'm very familiar with that word, but also with the way that it's being used, because it makes total sense to use that word. Like it's literally it has nothing to do with the horizontal, way of interacting as consciousness, but everything to do with the vertical alignment within yourself, within your consciousness. And this is exactly the way that Joel brings in the idea of miracle. And that's lovely, it's great. This week I was wondering, it's like, okay, it is a hypothetical question. Would Joel pick up the Course in Miracles if he was around at that time? And like, yeah, probably he would, but it is so individual that you can never say that. So it doesn't matter also, except for the fact that he, in fact, made an introduction to it while he didn't know it would literally happen the year after he passed on. Like there's a timing there that has everything to do with, like there's also no coincidence at all. So anyway, I wanted to introduce this idea just for the whole awareness of the fact that you find yourself here in this meeting with me, with whoever is here, like listening to Joel, and that is a miracle in itself. And it's like you might not even know why you do it, but you find yourself attracted to join. Excuse me. And that's amazing. It's like that is not that's literally you're being sent here, you're being directed here. So this idea, I think it was in this talk too that Joel says, like, you don't have to look for students, they come to you. So this he shares too where he's at. Like, we don't need advertisement, we don't need to organize in that sense. Like, no, whoever is attracted to this will and guided to this will come and join. That goes just like that. It's like, you know your own ways in that. You have discovered how that works. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So with the ones that are coming to you in your extension of the light that you are, and the consciousness that opened within you, the connection that you make during meditation of an inner stillness, an inner communication. The inner communication is really what the light is. If I talk about light, it's like that's the inner communication that is taking place. That is in fact a continuous happening, but you're just not always conscious of it. Now this is the part that we say we cross over. It's like we're bridging that. Not that we are doing that, but it's like in our transformational path, that is the occurrence that is taking place, because everything is already given and is completely given to you. The inner voice is speaking to you continuously. Like there's not moments where there is no guidance. It has everything to do with the fact, are you willing to open your ears, so to speak, your inner ear to hear this? Now, meditation is one of the ways that Joel uses in his, in the infinite way teaching. So I'm going to share some expressions. I do that always, but so it's like I'm going to share some expressions, then we take a look at the study guide, because in the study guide I formulated like very almost like an instruction sheet how to meditate, and that can just be great reminders. It's not you have to do it like this, but it's like all the reminders are in there, at least a lot. But I never saw a sheet like that, and I think it's very helpful. So anyway, that's for later. Now I start with the expressions of Joel coming from the talk that we're going to listen to, Instruction in Meditation. Meditation, inner contact. The importance of meditation, this is like a general statement, and the importance of meditation. Joel Goldsmith emphasized the practice of contemplative meditation as the primary way to achieve a conscious union with God. This isn't about asking for things, but about finding a state of inner silence to hear the still small voice. Finding a state of inner silence to hear the still small voice. Here Joel says something like, first of all, I want to call to your attention the fact that you are participating in a miracle, that this experience of being here this morning is itself a manifestation of God appearing as a miracle. Has it happened as an accident? Do accidents of this sort take place for purposes of good? Or is there behind this class a divine instinct or guidance or plan? Is there a spiritual activity, an activity of intelligence and of love that has brought this class together in this manner, so unexpectedly? Yes. The purpose of... Okay, so that was a yes. Yes, it is a perfect plan, like behind all these appearances, or all these so-called circumstances. There's no accident in it at all. Otherwise it would not have happened. So it's completely given to meet. Whether it's a so-called accidental class or a spontaneous class, or whether it's organized as in the sense of a weekly tape group, like that's still the same. So it's great that you're here, and the fact that you are here is a total miracle. Okay, now we head over to the idea of meditation. So there's some meditation expressions. The purpose of meditation is communion with the Father within you. The kingdom of God is within you. So that's exactly the place where we have to look for it. It is within you. Communion with the Father within you. The kingdom of God is within you. Meditation is the means to turn inward and attain a conscious awareness of the presence of God and the realization of our oneness with that presence. See, it's like that is realized. It is already so. There is a presence of God. There's a oneness. Now it's just about your conscious awareness of it. So meditation is a means to turn inward and attain a conscious awareness of it. Meditation is a means to shift your awareness from seeing life as a material experience governed by human limitations to realizing that life is spiritual and already whole. This inner realization is what transforms your outer experience. Outer change follows inner realization. And we stay in that depth that Joel is actually bringing this. It's like it's all happening within you. So now we're not that focused on the outer world in this realization. Like it doesn't really matter how it looks in a certain sense. If you realize that God is within you and you're in a direct communication with your Creator, it really doesn't matter how this world is looking. Does it change? Yes, it does. It changes in how you perceive it. Of course. And what you see. Like if you are contracting and say inspired, so-called inspired, but more like you're contracting in fear, you see a different world than when you're open and receptive and everything is different. Like in comparison, if you would fall in love, the whole world looks wonderful and great. And now that in the human experience, that seems to be a very short period of time. Like there might be the first couple of hours you meet someone, and then after that you are already afraid to lose him. Or who knows how that is. It's like, so there's fear again. But anyway, it's like this openness. You suddenly have nothing to lose. You in fact give yourself completely in that moment. In that sense, it's very unconditional and very much comparable to your experience of the love of God. It isn't alien, what you're going to experience in your love for God. No, it's very recognizable. And that's why you look for it too. Like you have that memory. It is a present memory of the love of God, the love that you have for your Father, and the love that your Father has for you. Like you can't forget that, because literally down there somewhere, at least beneath all your considerations and concerns, is still the memory of that, not as a past memory, but as a creative present memory. So that's why we meditate, to open our consciousness, to recognize, oh yeah, it's within me, it's not out there. I was looking for something out there, but of course that's going to fail, because it is causeless what I'm seeing. It has nothing to do with anything. It is not a fact. It is a reflection of what I was thinking a moment ago. Now that comes back to me. I'm going within, opening my consciousness, letting everything for what it is, starting to, literally come into a stillness in which I become receptive for what is already there. So it's not that I'm going to establish that connection. No, God knows his way to you. You can say like, oh no, that's taken care of. You only have to open your consciousness. And opening your consciousness is really then relax your defenses. Relax everything that you think is necessary for you. Relax every idea that you hold about thinking that something isn't right. Like that is the constant action of mind, the release of your self-identity. Everything that's concerned with your temporal beingness. So that's the practice. Meditation is a mode of prayer that allows you to become silent and receptive, so you can develop inner listening to hear the still small voice, to receive guidance, direction, experience divine presence. It's like that is all given in becoming receptive, in becoming silent, becoming still. So your inner listening, like literally now is nothing disturbing the voice any longer. So it's very still. You receive your guidance that you were looking for so desperately. You receive your direction. You didn't know where to go, and here it is. And experience divine presence. Like you know that when you find yourself in this world, you are alone. You have to protect yourself. You have to defend yourself. Like there's no place where you can lay your head to rest. Like it's never it's never perfect or anything like that. Like, no, there seem to be constant threats to your rest, to your peace, and on and on and on. You know this so well. Now here, going into your withinness, going into the, even if you put your bed in hell, is what we said in the meditation too. But it's like if now you come in a restful place within you, you take time to be undisturbed for a moment, letting yourself become receptive, open yourself up for a whole new experience, one that has nothing to do with this world. Well, in deep rest, you come and become receptive for the light and love of God. Now then, you feel surrounded by God's love. Then you suddenly, as if everything starts glowing, and you feel connected. You feel the presence of your brothers too. It's like the experience of oneness is literally like everything is included. It is whole. It is perfect. It's incredible. Like there's no words for it, but it certainly is an experience. This is where you are, say, where we become ready for in practicing meditation. So meditation isn't just closing your eyes and drifting off into some kind of transcendence by repeating a mantra or anything. It's like, no, that's not going to do it. No, it's like this is very active prayer in that sense. Becoming so still, releasing everything else, becoming receptive is literally you stay in a state of alertness, of anticipation, like high anticipation. Not that you have any expectancies, but it's like that is the contrast in it. You're at the same time totally patient, completely patient, like infinitely patient. You don't expect anything, but you're very much like on the edge of your seat. Now you're open and receptive to listen and to receive every little cue from as guidance and direction. Because you want it. You want to receive that. Like this is of course everything. Your willingness to receive that is everything. You want that because you recognize that otherwise you would be completely lost. Meditation, particularly what Joel Goldsmith calls contemplative meditation, is the means to achieve this inner contact, leading to a life lived by grace rather than by human effort. See, the contact, the inner contact is really a matter in your consciousness. Like, God's right here. He didn't go anywhere. Like, He knows where to find you because you're one with Him. And here you are thinking that you need to do all kinds of things in order to come in contact with God. As if God is somewhere in a distance looking at you, but He isn't. He's right here. It's not from a distance. It's from, we just listened to that song in the beginning. It's like, from a distance, God is looking at you. It's like, no. No, it's not from a distance. No, it's closer to you than breathing. It's closer than hands and feet. Like, it is right here. It is not happening anywhere else. Yeah. So this is available for you. I sent the link one day, so you can enter the document. See here are all the key lessons in the importance of meditation. You see some of the expressions that we use today. Okay, how to meditate. Now here's an instruction. Preparation and posture. Make yourself comfortable in a quiet place where you won't be disturbed for a moment. Sit erect with your spine straight, with your feet flat on the floor and hands relaxed in your lap. This position is intended to be both relaxed and alert. Breathe normally, but breathe through your nose in. That's a really important one too. And perhaps take a few deep breaths to quiet the mind and body. And then here, entering the quiet state, Joel gives instruction. Practice of listening. Here some instruction. Continuous practice. Here's more. Morning ritual. Begin your day, preferably before getting out of bed, with several minutes of quiet contemplation on the truth of God's presence and grace. Throughout the day, take short, frequent pauses, even as little as 30 to 60 seconds, to stop the clamor of mind and body. Use a brief reminder to re-establish yourself in the spirit, such as God's life is my life. God is infinite wisdom. The purpose of this practice is to continuously imbue the mind with truth, so that your consciousness becomes the law of harmony, leading you to live a life by grace rather than human effort and worldly law. Now you see, the mind imbued with truth, that's not necessarily using Bible phrases as a mantra or as an affirmation or something. It's like, no, this is the active part, because that's really what Joel is pointing at. The active part of meditation is that part in which actually communication is taking place, where you can feel the stirring of spirit within you. That's what we're heading for, so to speak. Like, then you have the confirmation. The Spirit is with you. God is with you. Then you are in communication directly, not like some kind of other mysterious way or so. No, directly. You feel the release of self-identity. You feel your connectedness with God by feeling sudden gratitude for no reason, or a happiness that you can't describe, or a relaxation that you didn't know how to get to. Like, it's really miraculous in that sense. It's coming to you in a way that you cannot do that yourself. Then you know, here's the communication. Now that is the mind imbuing with truth and light and love. Literally, that is happening to you. You cannot do that by your mental actions of repeating sentences or repeating this or that. It's like, no. This is an active occurrence to you. So that's really lovely. So that's Joel's instruction. We're going to listen now to say the second part of the talk, instruction in meditation. And so the first part is also interesting. I don't know if you listen to it, but Joel's actually bringing in the whole idea of America, of the flag and the stars and the stripes. And in fact, what is the foundation of the American country? And it's great to hear that. And also, of course, now you see, okay, so what happened with that? And at this point, well, the fundamental initial idea is still beautiful. And however that's going to be expressed is of course, if you follow guidance, it's going to be expressed just beautifully. If you think you know better, then it looks ugly, or whatever it is, however that looks. That is still the same. So the foundation of it is beautiful. So Joe was expressing himself very specifically about that. I was surprised. And that in the week that I will be visiting the United States. So that's kind of, wow, there's no coincidence in that either. So that's really lovely. Now we're going to listen to the tape, Instruction in Meditation.
It may be that your idea of the infinite way is that this is another of those teachings, and that those teachings and this can be combined. And right from the start, I want you to know that that is not true. Now, I am not going to talk about right or wrong. I'm going to talk about individual expression. In the beginning of the metaphysical movement, we have as the first organized activity the Christian Science movement. Now, there's no doubt that Mrs. Eddy was influenced in her metaphysical approach by her acquaintanceship and work with Mr. P.P. Quimby. But when she started her Christian Science work, undoubtedly there were many principles which she taught which came to her through Quimby and through her association with him. This fact is evident in her writings. As she continued her work of healing and teaching and organizing, a whole new concept of life opened up to her, and it was this that she called divine science. And in her writings she makes a difference between Christian Science and divine science. And so if you were to do what I did 30 years ago, spend about a year in concordance work on Mrs. Eddy's writings, you would learn that there are two sciences in her writings. There is a mental science and a spiritual science. The mental science you will recognize by the fact that it says, ignorance, sin, and fear are the procuring cause and foundation of all disease. That's in her book, Science and Health. Her spiritual science you will find when you read in that same book, neither sin, disease, nor fear has the power to cause disease or relapse. Or when you read in her writings, mortal mind causes disease and immortal mind cures it. And then you find in those writings that neither sin nor fear can bring on disease or bring back disease, since in reality there is no disease. So it can't have a cause. In other words, then, you would find, it's there, two distinct approaches to the metaphysical life. One is the one in which you uncover error in the patient's thought, and the other is in which there is no error in the patient's thought, because there is only one mind, and that's the divine mind. Now, when you are studying Christian Science, if you had the wisdom to discern this, you would decide for yourself which approach to life was yours. And if you were of the mental type, you would be wise in sticking to the mental approach. And if you were of a spiritual nature, you would forget every statement in those books on that subject, and you would turn to the spiritual approach. Now, since I was a Christian Science practitioner for many years, and since I had been in healing work long before I knew anything of the principles of Christian Science, I at first knew nothing about these principles or what they were, and only after I was in the practice and did this concordance work did I discover these two principles, and naturally my nature, being the spiritual one, I never permitted myself to spend a moment on any of those mental statements of mental cause and physical effect or anything of that nature. And those of you who have my book, The Letters, which incidentally were the letters that I sent out to my patients during the years of my Christian Science practice, you will notice that every reference in the Bible, of the Bible, or Mrs. Eddy's writings has to do only with the spiritual approach and never once goes into the subject of mind. Now, as the years unfolded, my healing work continued. It was clear to me that I could have no part in anything that partook of a mental practice. Again, remember, not that it's wrong, it's very right for those who are at the mental level of consciousness. But it could be no part of my work. But when you are in the healing work, and as happened to me, work came to me, healing work from all over the globe, until in my last years I was taking care of 135 patients a day, 7 days a week. You will find that you are living so completely in a spiritual consciousness that you are continuously under instruction. And it was then that principles began to reveal themselves to me which I could find only few traces of in the literature of the world. Meanwhile, I began the reading of the religious, the metaphysical, the spiritual, and the mystical writings of the world, searching for confirmation of these things that were coming through, because some of them were dramatic, some of them were radical, some of them were frightening. For instance, sitting at my desk one day, the voice, in a loud voice, said, "Mind is not God." And you can be assured that when you have been reading books for as many years as I was on the subject of mind as God, this is frightening. But as the days passed, and this continued to reveal itself, I was shown the place that mind has in our lives. And then it was revealed, which is one of our major teachings, that mind is an avenue of awareness. It is not a power, and was never meant to be used as a power. It is an instrument through which we become aware of that which is, but we do not make it so. We do not create it. We become aware of it. Just as we do not make the sun to rise in the morning or to set at night, we do not make 2 times 2 4. We do not make roses grow on rose bushes. But with our mind, we become aware that these things are true, that these things exist. And then our mind becomes an instrument through which God, or our soul, can begin to instruct us, guide us, lead. It becomes a presence that goes before us to make the crooked places straight. The mind is merely the instrument for this presence, this activity. Then came really the great revelation. Where were these things coming from that were revealing themselves to me? There was no personality involved. There was no master. There was no Jesus. There was no Oriental guides. And yet the direction was coming through as clearly as if there were an individual teaching me. But at no time has there been a guidance from a person. Always it has been from the Spirit. But of course the question always comes when you don't know where is this coming from and how. And so one day, again, the voice spoke within me and said, "The secret lies in meditation." Now meditation at that time was a word very little used in the Occident. In Unity, there was a little booklet on the subject of the silence, and that was its only writing on meditation. New Thought had nothing at all. Christian Science had nothing at all. Christian Science used the words mental work. And yet, meditation poured itself through, and I had to seek the answer to meditation. This was a job of 8 months. And at the end of 8 months, I attained the first second of what we now call meditation. That is, a cessation of thought and a complete stillness, followed by merely a feeling of well-being, as if all's well with the world, but not for any particular reason. I had to continue the practice and the study of meditation, and very soon I learned that my entire human experience was changing. In other words, if I would meditate before leaving home in the morning, and in this meditation achieve what we call a click, that is, that feeling of well-being or release, that my entire day was lived as if by magic. Healings took place easily. Supply came in without any directed human effort. There seemed to be a greater sense of joy in my life and freedom in my human relationships with patients, with family, with neighbors. And on days when I didn't attain that complete release, it was as if I were living the day again, and I'd have some good things, but I could make mistakes, and the harmony, the full harmony, wasn't there. And so I began a practice of getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning so as to be sure that whether it took place in 10 minutes or 4 or 5 hours, that I would not leave home until I had realized that freedom. Later, I recognized that this release or freedom or click really is only an effect. What takes place is a conscious realization of God's presence, or a conscious experience of God's presence, and then this click merely is an effect to let me know that it's happened. It is as when we meet, if we shake hands, we know we're present before that, but the minute we shake hands, we have something more tangible. It is the same way with affection. We can be in love, but the moment there's a kiss, we know a little bit more definitely that love is there. In other words, the kiss is nothing of itself. It is just an outer expression of something that has already taken place within, but now we have a tangible evidence of it. It is like gratitude. We can all feel gratitude, but it's meaningless until we have expressed it. We may express it in words, we may express it in dollars, we may express it in service, but as long as gratitude is just a feeling within us, it is nothing. So it is with love, so it is with every form of prayer. prayer is never complete until some form of expression has taken place on the outer plane. Now, we'll come to that all, remember, during this classwork. I'm merely opening this as an introduction to show you first that the infinite way must be considered by you, studied by you, as an individual teaching, presenting to you some things which do not appear in other religious teachings of any nature. Some do, because you must remember that there are some principles which run throughout life. Actually, there's only one truth. It is the means of approach to the truth that differ. The truth after you reach the mountaintop is one, but you are not at the mountaintop as a student. You are not even at the mountaintop as a teacher. You are only at the mountaintop in your meditation when you come face to face with the realization of God. Then you're at the mountaintop where all truth is one. But until then, every approach to truth is different. Every approach to truth must be considered by itself. Now, in my first experiences with the infinite way, I was invited to give talks to unity groups and to New Thought groups, and for the most part, these proved to be very unsatisfactory. The reason was I was presenting the specific principles which have revealed themselves to me in my lifetime of study, devotion, and revelation and practice. And in presenting them, I was not thinking of the way you may be accepting them down there through your background. And the result was a conflict. I remember one night at the Institute of Religious Science in Los Angeles when I opened my talk. Mind you, I didn't do it on purpose. It was purely inspirational. But I opened my talk by saying the foundational stone of the infinite way is that thought is not power. And almost instantly, there were no atomic bombs then, I don't think, but there were loads of big cannon. And after the meeting, two ladies came up to me who were then taking the leadership course. And they said, oh, and they were angry, you said thought isn't power, and we have come all the way from New York to learn how to use thought as power. And so, after a few of those experiences, I realized that I was not doing the students justice by going to them and saying something radically different from what they were being taught, even though what I was teaching was truth from our standpoint. Nevertheless, what they were being taught was truth from their standpoint. And so, with the exception of a very few teachers, Jack Addington has been one of them, and there are a few in Unity, I no longer go into any metaphysical movements, and our infinite way work is conducted exclusively as infinite way work, like this here, not in connection with any metaphysical center or any metaphysical movement. And you can see the reason why. It is not my function. I wasn't given the mission on earth to proselyte. In fact, when in 1946 I experienced 2 full months of illumination, the final message given to me was, never seek a student. Your students will be directed to you. And that explains why we do not advertise, why we do not proselyte, why we do not go out into the world to introduce this to anyone. Those, you remember the experience of the Master. A woman comes to him begging and pleading that he heal her child, and he refuses. I am sent only to those of my own household. In the end, because of her much pleading, he gives in and does the healing work. Now, we do not refuse healing work. Anyone, anytime that writes to us for help is given the measure of help that we can give, without regard to what they may be studying or even if they have never heard of metaphysics. But when it comes to the teaching, we do not go out to seek students. We wait to be invited. So it is with our teachers, our practitioners, and any of you who may ever engage in any infinite way activity. Please remember, the function of this work is not to advertise, not to solicit, not to proselyte. Sit quietly in your own home and realize truth, and those who are ready for you or for your message will be led to you. And if they are not coming to you, accept them, that you are not yet ready for them. There is no such thing as an unused idea in the kingdom of God. Therefore, if God has implanted an idea in you, it is for use, and the world will be drawn to you. That is, as much of the world as you can care for. Now, let us start with our foundational work, and this is meditation. And I want to explain to you that as long as you follow the principles of the infinite way, you must not go to God for anything. You must not seek anything of God or from God. You must never permit your prayers or treatment to in any way carry the belief that God has something that God can give you or bestow upon you or perform for you will miss the way in the infinite way. You must understand the nature of God first of all. God is the creative and the maintaining and sustaining principle of His creation, that is, of the spiritual creation. Now, God requires no prayers to maintain 2 times 2 is 4, to maintain the stars in their courses, the times and of the tides, the rising and setting of the sun. God requires that no man pray to make roses grow on rose bushes or peaches to grow on peach trees. All of these things are carried on by the principles which God has undoubtedly embodied within the infinite consciousness which is God. In the same way, you don't pray to God when you eat a meal that God digest it for you, because you expect that there is a process of assimilation that automatically takes place and was probably provided for in the beginning. You don't pray when you go to bed at night that you will wake up in the morning, or that you will find roses on your rose bushes and oranges on your orange trees. You do not pray when you get up in the morning that God bring evening about at a certain time. It is a part of your inner awareness, your knowledge, that this is God's function, and that it is to be performed without any assistance from you, without even the need of prayers. Now, if you can agree that God is the creative, maintaining, and sustaining principle of God's own universe, and that God needs no instruction from man, God needs no enlightenment from man, no orders, no directions, then you must ask yourself, why is there so much sin, disease, death, lack, limitation, and slavery in the world? Why is it then that God is not maintaining the health and well-being of every individual? Why is it that God is not maintaining peace on earth? Why is it that there exists slavery in some countries? And certainly man's inhumanity to man is too well known to you to need repeating here. Now, I have told our students in many classes, what I give you is my experience. I am not theorizing in my classwork. I am not telling you anything that was repeated in books or that in any wise comes from theory, belief. The instruction that I give comes from 30 years of personal experience. The infinite way is only my personal and individual religious experience. It is for this reason that I tell you that it will benefit you only in proportion as you can accept it and practice it. It is not anything that I can inflict on anyone. I have not discovered a way to set the world free. I've not discovered a way to empty hospitals. I have discovered how I could attain my own spiritual freedom and thereby experience a wonderful degree of human health, harmony, wholeness, completeness, and abundance. This experience I impart to you. As a teaching, it will have no value to you. Yes, the mere fact that we are present in this room means that there will be a great deal of healing going on, not only physical, mental, moral, financial, to the degree of your acceptance, because I, if I be lifted up, can draw all men unto me. In the degree that I am spiritually lifted up, you are at least in some measure lifted up and thereby benefit by my consciousness.
All right, yes, indeed. The tape continues in part 2, so we didn't use that in this meeting, but it's available too. So Joel gives a real declaration of where he comes from, teaching from his own experience, so to say it in short. He doesn't theorize. It's like, this is my experience. Here I give it away. Here I'm sharing it. So thank you, Joel, for doing that. It's really lovely to directly hear him speak about all this. And to this very specific group, just like you are. It's like, this is happening now in this instant, and that is also very specific. Like, there's great benefit in what's being offered here. Very simply, for your experience. And Joel offers this to you, Like, this is how personal it is. This is specifically for you. Now, let that come to you. It's like teaching, he says, teaching doesn't make a lot of sense in the sense, because where it happens really is your acceptance of it, your demonstration of it, you taking this in, sitting with it, studying it or reading it, letting it come to you, listen to the tape again, and following the instruction, for instance, how to meditate, or coming into the practice of, before I leave the house, before I leave the house, I want to have something occur. Like, literally, I'm waiting for the confirmation that I'm in communication. Now, that's really lovely. It's like, that is the practice. And not to force it, it's like, no, it's not a preoccupation or anything. No, in all gentleness, you allow this to come to you. It's like in your wholehearted prayer, this opens up within you for you to be received. So there's always like a loveliness connected to it, even in the activity of meditation. And so that's really lovely. So now this week, like today we have a meeting. Next week I will still be with some of us in the United States. There's a reunion going on, and where I'm taking part in with some of us, so to speak. And so we skip 1 week, in other words. So in 2 weeks we meet again with the next episode of Key Lessons of the Infinite Way. So you will receive an email saying the same thing, and there will be a new email coming up for you with a transcript and the lesson 5, key lesson 5 of the Infinite Way. All right, so thank you so much for your attention. It's great to meet today, and have a lovely rest of your day. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.